Mr Deputy Bríd Smith.
Ceann Corla. Minister, tomorrow last week, I think we saw one of the most historic actions taken on a global scale by workers in Tokyo, New York, Dublin, Berlin and London, and many other cities that weren't really mentioned, by Google workers. Tens of thousands of them walked off the job in protest over sexual harassment, but it's little known that their other demands were for normal things like pay equality, workers' representation on the board, and obviously more accountability from management on the question of sexual harassment. I think they deserve to be complimented on that, and given that this is a company that's not known for its trade union activity or membership, I think this bodes well on an international scale for how young workers are responding to demand equality and an end to harassment and their representation. I hope you would join with me in congratulating those workers, and I just want to quote one of them who said, "I don't know what it will take to change the system, but I do know that we are a crazy force to be reckoned with." And in line with the theme of the two previous speakers, I want to talk about another crazy force to be reckoned with, and that is the nurses in this country, who are about to ballot for nationwide industrial action to secure pay increases that will allow them to live decent lives, to be able to afford to pay rent, to be able to afford childcare, that will help them address the serious shortage on the wards in the A&E, 200 vacancies in A&E across the country, over 1,000 vacancies for nurses in the public health system. And they have a problem with recruitment and retention because of the low pay element. Nurses, by the way, still work a shift for nothing every 8 weeks, and it sticks in their craw. That evening they have to go in and work through the night and get absolutely zero for it. There is nobody in this House who would do that. In fact, I would argue we're well overpaid for what we do compared to the low pay they get for what they do. And so I believe, Minister, we are facing a winter of discontent, and it's not from just the Google workers, but it'll be from the nurses in the hospitals. The psychiatric nurses are about to ballot over pay. The ambulance drivers are refusing to do overtime because they're not getting trade union recognition. And this winter of discontent is about to see working people try to change that very system. You may call them crazy, they may call themselves crazy, but they are definitely a force to be reckoned with. So I'm asking you, Minister, first of all, to congratulate the workers in Google, not just in Dublin but globally, for the example and the action they've taken, and second of all, to deal with the question of low pay in our health service, for nurses in particular, and to address the issues in the ambulance service. That must be done. If you can't do it now, then I suggest the Cabinet don't take their Christmas holidays and work hard over the holiday period to ensure that these issues are settled. Thank you, Deputy Smith. Minister.
Well, Deputy, I wouldn't call them crazy at all. I think they're a critical part of the public service and do invaluable work. I do salute the Google workers, and I acknowledge today that the CEO of Google has come out and said that they need to do more in that space, and I think that's a very welcome development. On the public service and on nurses' pay, I mean, we have concluded a public service pay agreement which the public service union signed up to. Within the provisions of that, there was a review undertaken of recruitment and retention issues in nursing, and it made a number of specific recommendations which were considered by government recently, and all of those recommendations within that, as they relate to nurses' pay and new entrants, were accepted. I do appreciate that the INMO is currently in the throes of balloting members, but I would say, you know, the predictability that comes from a negotiated public service pay agreement across all of the public service has considerable merit. And it's not open to us as a party to that to unilaterally breach the terms and conditions of it without it having a very considerable consequences for all of the public finances and the public services that the state tries to provide for, and of which nurses are a critical element in delivering those public services in the area of healthcare. So I would hope that the initiative that we have taken in terms of dealing with the issues of public service pay, nurses' pay within that, looking at the issues agreed in the context of that agreement around retention and recruitment. That report, which the government has accepted, is the basis for agreement for the years ahead.
Mr. Smith.
Well, the government may have accepted the report, but the people on the front line haven't. I don't know if you've looked at the details on the pay commission that's dealing with nurses. Certain specialties will get an extra €7 a week. You wouldn't buy 2 pints of beer with that pay increase. It is an absolute insult to them, and it is only certain sections of the nursing staff that will get it. Now, you have said that it is not open to you to breach the terms of the public sector agreement without serious consequences. I put it to you, Minister, that you are bearing the brunt and will bear the brunt of serious consequences by not opening up proper pay negotiations with the nurses. And I've just quoted it to you. They are balloting for a series of 24-hour stoppages. When they walk out of those hospitals, will you congratulate them like you've just congratulated the Google workers for taking action to change the system that is crippling the health service, preventing recruitment and driving these young workers to desperation to actually walk off the job that they care about doing? Will you congratulate them when they take action because you're worried about breaching a pay agreement that have serious consequences? These are serious consequences. These strikes will be very serious consequences, and the lives of these people are consequentially very seriously damaged.
Minister, to conclude, please.
My understanding in respect of the Public Service Pay Agreement and the Commission review of recruitment and retention will deliver significantly for up to 10,000 members of the nursing profession. So I do believe there is, evidence of goodwill in respect of what was an independent analysis of the issues around retention and recruitment undertaken within the auspices of that Public Service Pay Agreement. And that has delivered specific additional financial package to certain nurses, up to 10,000 of them. I think that's significant. I am of the view that in the context of these issues, negotiation is key, and I think it would be appropriate that the INMO would meet with Department and HSE management in an effort to avoid what I believe would be an unnecessary strike action.
Thank you, Minister.